Hello everyone and welcome to The Green Economy, your new resource hub for the latest green solutions available to the world. Today we are exploring our zero waste future and discovering the products and programs which are making it happen. In a world where sustainability is in the front of everyone's minds, it has never been more important to think about the impact on our planet and how we can reduce waste. Our first two guests have developed amazing products, each in their own niche, that are helping consumers reduce single-use plastics in their home and offices. To finish the day, we'll be talking with two representatives from a globally renowned organisation who are tackling the waste crisis through youth empowerment. First up today, we're delighted to be talking with one of the national leaders in single-use waste reduction. Please welcome Josh Howard from Single Use Ain't Sexy. So welcome to the show, Josh. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you. I wore my green shirt especially for you.
Oh, so touched. Can you tell us about the product and the story behind the name?
Yes, so our brand is called Single Use Ain't Sexy. It's a bit of a mouthful, but as you can probably tell, it's all about trying to save single-use plastic bottles from landfill. So we launched Australia's first dissolvable hand soap tablet, which I like to say is kind of just like a Barocca tablet, but for hand soap. And so the way it works is you get one of our reusable glass bottles, fill it with tap water, drop the tablet in, takes about 20 minutes to dissolve, and then you pump the solution out as a thick white foam that you wash your hands with. So each time you use another tablet, you save another plastic bottle from landfill.
Love it. It's absolutely what we stand for here at The Green Economy.
Yeah.
So you've developed the perfect brand image. You've got thousands of raving fans. What's your secret?
That's a great question. I think our secret is probably doing it all with a degree of authenticity that makes people feel like they have some sort of emotional connection to the brand. And so, there's a lot of brands, companies, businesses, influencers, people out there. And I think if you can cut through all that noise by creating a product and a brand that feels real, people really resonate with that. And so that's probably one of the things we've done is tried to marry up our passion for helping people be more sustainable with beautiful branding and design. And that way people don't feel like they have to compromise on style just to be more eco-friendly. And I think it's really important that we're kind of like empowering people to do both, which is look good and do good at the same time.
Yeah. Perfect simplicity.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. How do you measure the sustainability impact you have created?
Lots of different ways. So there's the obvious one, which is on the front end, the number of single-use plastic bottles saved from landfill. So as I said earlier, each tablet used is another plastic bottle saved. On the back end, which is something that gets us excited, but maybe people don't kind of see it as clearly because it's just not in your face, is people minimising their carbon footprint in the supply chain. So for example, because we don't ship water, we're helping people harness water out of their kitchen or bathroom tap where they're already paying for it and where they're going to use our products. So instead of, say, putting 2 million liquid-based products on the back of a ship, we could have the same amount of soap condensed down into a few pallets of our tablets. And so sending a 4-gram tablet instead of a 250 ml liquid bottle of hand soap is much better and produces much fewer emissions.
Oh, that's what we love to hear. We're very much against emissions here.
Yes, good. Us too.
So now that you've conquered hand soap, what's the next product we can expect from you?
A lot of people ask me that. Now, our strategy has actually been to kind of like make our hand soap famous. And so that's probably my marketing and branding background. But I love the idea of companies that just do one thing really, really well and then get known for that. So we're just over 2 years old now, and we're still improving and bringing out various versions of our hand soap, new fragrances, new formulas, different ingredients, all that kind of thing, and trying to be really well known for doing that. At the same time, we obviously have our new product development pipeline in place, and so we're developing things like hand wash and body wash and face wash and all different types of personal care products. So I like to say we're trying to own the just add water category. So all the products in the home that are in the personal care or home cleaning space, but which you just add water to, is kind of the space that we're playing in.
Perfect. I look forward to seeing it develop.
Yeah, me too. It's exciting.
We'll definitely keep an eye out.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
How many of you like doing your laundry? I'm guessing not many. Our next guest has developed a way to do it with far less waste. Please welcome Frankie Layton from The Dirt Company. Welcome to the Green Economy, Frankie. It's great to have you with us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Can you tell us about your product? Why did you choose to tackle waste in the laundry sector?
Yeah, sure. So obviously we have a laundry detergent and a couple of other laundry products as well. And we sell it in these glass dispenser bottles here that you refill with refill packs. You then collect up your refill packs, you send them back to us, we sanitize them, reuse them as many times as we can, and when they can't be reused anymore, we shred them down and mould them into powder scoops that we use for some of our powder products. So I think the reason that we started in the laundry aisle with this zero waste closed loop concept was because the laundry aisle was a pretty big culprit for unnecessary plastic waste. So basically, they sell in big laundry jugs or big laundry bottles. They're often really diluted with water, so up to 70, 80, 90% water in some of them. And then they do that to occupy as much space on the shelf as they can. So customers believe that they're paying for value, and then and then they're disposable. So you throw them out at the end of the day. So in any one of those laundry jugs, there'd be an average of nearly a sultana size, like 4 grams of plastic per every load that you put on in the machine. So switching to refill packs helps us reduce, obviously, the amount of plastic required to contain the liquid. And then switching to an ultra concentrate, which is what our product is, allows us to reduce the water content. So we're 3 or 4 times more concentrated than your average laundry detergent. And then introducing the zero waste element means it's sort of like cut 1, cut 2, cut 3, and there's a very, very low waste concept without really changing the way that you do your laundry too much, except for the better.
Brilliant innovation. I love it. So your business has a huge positive impact on the planet. Can you tell us about your impact initiatives?
Yeah, certainly. So we allocate 50% of our profits to what we call impact initiatives. Just depending on what we've got going on in the year, we'll either do profit donation. So we did a $40,000 donation to the ocean cleanup one year. Or we'll try and innovate our own project. So last year's project was creating these machine drum wash scoops, and we've gone on to buy shredders and injection moulders, so we can continue to innovate in the creating products out of plastic waste that really cannot be used in a commercial setting anymore because of its makeup. So every year we do our little impact piece. From the refill return program as well is a fundamental part of it. So that all falls into our impact initiatives, and it's probably like our favourite part of the business.
It's great to see businesses making a positive impact.
Yeah.
So how does your business model tie in with the circular economy?
Well, obviously the whole system is very zero waste. And we're seeing the rise of zero waste at the moment across all industries, but it is a totally closed loop system. But I think the other thing that's really important to note is the rise of refills. They're calling it the refill revolution. But the whole notion of having a bottle that you love that sits on your bench, that you refill time and time and time again, I think that's the infantile stages of the circular economy, because it makes sense from the consumer perspective. Like, they're not going out buying jugs that they don't like, that were cheap to make, that are that horrible bright plastic, and putting them in their house. They've got something that they really like sitting in their house. They enjoy refilling it. You can keep refills under your sink, so your bench space is clearer and it's cleaner from a design perspective. And so the first half of that around refills is obviously a really important part, and then it's the extra mile part for us of returning it, and then the extra mile again of when it can't be reused, going into a waste processing stream that makes the concept fully circular.
Oh, brilliant. All ties in a nice little package.
Yeah, nice little loop, closed loop.
Do you see your business model as the framework for all cleaning product-based businesses you're moving forward?
Yes and no. I think ours is obviously a really exciting one for products in particular that cannot be put into powder form or tablet form and are not able to be diluted. So you couldn't take our product, make it stable and add water at home. It just doesn't work with laundry detergent and a handful of other products. But things like glass cleaners, hand soaps, you are able to do that. So I think there's so many options for customers that they have available now. And I believe every single one of them is a great option for reducing your waste. But it's going to come down to the customer picking horses for courses, for want of a better word. It's like where it makes sense to use tablets, use tablets. Where it makes sense to use dilutables, use dilutables. Where it makes sense to use refillables, use refillables. We'll always focus on the best products that are refillables. And that's going to be our strategy moving forward. But I do think what's so important and so amazing for customers is now there's a cleaning brand in every category that actually pays attention to the waste stream of it, and started with just concepts like ours, and now I think we don't know where it'll be in 10 years. We hope to be there as well, but I think it's absolutely very, very exciting, and I do see this as a no excuse change for a lot of big brands who know they can't reformulate, or, just refill packs as step one, I think would be amazing.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure you'll be the market leader in 10 years.
Thank you. That's my goal.
We look forward to seeing it.
Oh, thank you so much, and thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Finally today, we're excited to be talking with two representatives from the Jane Goodall Institute, who have developed a series of programs called Roots and Shoots aimed at empowering young people to make a difference. Please welcome James Forbes and Ben House. Welcome to the Green Economy. It's great to have you with us today, gentlemen.
Great to be here.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Hey, can you tell us a bit more about your company and the programs you're offering?
Yeah, sure. So the Jane Goodall Institute Australia is one chapter in the Jane Goodall Institute of around 27 offices around the world. And we've been operating in Australia since 2007. But JGI, Jane Goodall Institute, as an organisation, has been around since 1977 in the United States and has spread around the world. And there are two key programs. Some of your viewers will be familiar with the work of Dr. Jane Goodall and what she started in Tanzania in the 1960s with her groundbreaking research into chimpanzees. And that study continues to this day. It's one of the longest longitudinal studies in the world. And we continue to support work across sub-Saharan Africa that protects chimpanzees. But not only chimps, we're a community or human-centred organisation. We take a great deal of action in supporting human communities around chimpanzee populations. So one of the great drivers of biodiversity loss is agricultural extraction. And yet a lot of communities obviously need agriculture to support themselves economically. So what we seek to do with our programs in Africa is to support human communities and address some of the poverty drivers. And by doing that, you're also helping create better outcomes for the wildlife that surround those human communities. So in Australia, or from Australia, we support the Gombe Stream Research Centre's research into chimps. We have the largest chimpanzee sanctuary in Africa in the Republic of Congo called Chimpunga. And we also have a peer educational girls empowerment program in Uganda that keeps young girls in school, teach them about feminine hygiene and so on. And that's a fantastic program. Then in Roots and Shoots, which is Jane's youth program that started in Tanzania in '91 and is now in more than 50 countries around the world. That's a program that inspires young people to take action in their local community. So nothing to do with chimps, although it can do. A local Australian child could start a fundraiser for chimps through Roots and Shoots if they wanted to, but that's not its primary driver. Its primary driver is for young people to take action for animals, people, and the broader environment. And they can choose to do all three of those projects or one of them. And we've got a range of programs in Australia that supports the tools and inspiration piece for that, like our Resource Box program that goes out to 4,000 primary schools around Australia. We've also got a workshop program called Rewild Your School. And we've just launched Embrace the Wild, which is a training and workplace development program for disadvantaged youth. So they're just some of our programs, but maybe I'll throw over to Ben to talk about some of our other Roots and Shoots programs, particularly around waste.
Yeah, no worries. Well, thanks, James. I mean, he's given us a great intro there. Some of the sort of the core programs, both Africa programs and Roots and Shoots. And here in Australia, I have the privilege of leading our volunteer community of grassroots projects across the country. And they do span a whole heap of different initiatives. There's, like James mentioned, programs around Resource Box, so getting that environmental literature out there. Rewild Your School program, so equipping primary school children with experiences that help them to understand how to engage with nature and what that looks like in their backyard. Secondary school programs too, focused on sort of green career development and sort of helping students, particularly those from underserved communities, to gain access to some of those amazing organisations out there that are doing awesome things. The whole focus of all our projects is this APE metaphor: animals, people and environment, which is a pretty nifty acronym.
That's really clever.
Is right. Because Jane's vision, what made some of her research and early work so empowering and so equipping and so innovative, was that conservation doesn't work when we just alone protect forest and ecosystems and animals. We have to include the local communities in that conversation and get this sort of holistic idea of caring for animals, people and the environment as a full picture of what it looks like to live on a thriving planet. And obviously one of the main areas of focus for us is waste. And thanks so much for the opportunity to share a little bit about that today. Two kind of global and local focuses for that kind of correspond to James's Roots and Shoots and Africa programs approach there in the description. Starting with the Africa programs, we have a mobile phone recycling program across Australian schools. And that's really cool because it turns out that in your average mobile phone, there's a whole heap of microchips and hardware components in that unit that make it really easy for us to do some incredible things. I know I couldn't survive without mine, my little GPS, communications and a whole bunch of different applications. But inside that phone is a whole bunch of rare earth minerals. And those rare earth minerals happen to be taken, unfortunately, and mined from sites that disempower communities living there. So they're not always ethically sourced. Supply chains are getting better, but we have a lot of work to do. And they also happen to correspond to habitats for vital species like great apes, including chimpanzees. And we find that particularly rare earth minerals like cobalt in mobile phones are really hard to get out of the ground and extract without impacting on the habitat of animals and the humans that depend on that rainforest too. So if we can recycle those mobile phones, prevent them from going into waste, we can recover those minerals and give the animals and plants and people in those communities a bit of a helping hand. So we find that equipping schools across Australia to do that is great. Globally, particularly in terms of like grassroots Australian communities, we have the No Waste November campaign, which is a global campaign, stretches across a lot of those global chapters that James just mentioned, and it has a huge reach. It was started by a Roots and Shoots member, I believe, who was based in the United Arab Emirates, or at least did quite a lot of work there. And the idea was that you, as a Roots and Shoots member, and it's free to join as a child or youth member, or at any age, you make a pledge in November to reduce your waste. We live in an incredibly blessed environment here in Australia where we have access to a lot of resources at our fingertips. If we can be a little bit creative, a little bit hopeful, a little bit optimistic, and a little bit intentional about making a pledge to reduce waste in one area of our lives, collectively, as Jane Goodall is always reminding us, that makes a big impact. It's easy to get a little bit despondent. It's easy to lose hope in the face of a lot of environmental challenges we're facing as a globe. But by making tiny little changes in our lives, we can reduce waste and reduce our impact on the environment. And waste is a great way to do that because it's really easy to celebrate an empty bin. In that sense, it's easy to measure your impact. And we find that kids are really excited about that. And they have it's easy to celebrate that win. And you can either reduce waste in your own life through the No Waste November pledge, or you can go out into the environment and clean up waste that's already there. We partner with Clean Up Australia Day and a whole variety of partner organisations to do those cleanups.
A lot of options available.
So many options, and it's really fun too. I mean, we find that kids love the creativity and imagination involved in reducing their waste. It doesn't take much to make a big impact when you times that single pledge, one child, by thousands.
Great, that's so great to hear. What is the global reach of these programs? Well, how big an impact scale do you have?
So, as I mentioned in my intro, Ivana, we've got Roots and Shoots in about 50 countries. And so there are literally thousands of young people doing hundreds of thousands of hours each year. So it is an enormous reach across the planet in terms of Roots and Shoots. And as you can imagine, when you multiply that annual reach over 30 years that it's been operating, that's quite a cumulative impact that's been had over the years. And what else I would say about the impact is that a lot of those young people that have got engaged with Roots and Shoots have now gone out into the community and have become leaders in their community. And that they've gone into various sectors. And so that's one of the other wonderful things about the reach of Roots and Shoots and the work that we do through our National Youth Leadership Council as an example, and Ben can certainly talk to this, is the ability to provide older youth with access to a great program that teaches them about campaigning, gives them a lot of soft skills that they're going to need in the workforce. And what we find is that cohort of youth that join our National Youth Leadership Council end up getting extraordinarily good jobs out into the community. And the NYLC is a big factor in that. Because obviously we can all go to uni or do a vocational trade, and you can learn that sort of theoretical knowledge at uni. But as we all know, there are all sorts of other skills you need when you get into the workforce that you don't get taught at uni. So one of the things I love about Roots and Shoots is how it empowers and enables young people to make decisions that are going to affect them for the rest of their lives that are really positive. And I think that's something I feel really proud about. Ben, over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think across Australia, we're really proud of the diversity in our programs. We kind of pride ourselves on being able to equip young people to make a difference in a way that's most meaningful to them within their community. That looks like a few different things, like James mentioned. We kind of create kind of an ecosystem of different actions that children and youth, teenagers and young adults can take as they grow. So it does begin at a young age with opportunities to engage in tree planting events with our local conservation partners. One of my favourite things is, a little toddler or maybe 3 attending like a tree planting event with their auntie or uncle and grandparents, and that moves through to resource boxes, literacy programs, national youth leadership programs, and beyond that, moving into careers in the conservation space that enables you to then feed back on your experiences and your networks into the Roots and Shoots community. So we're sort of trying to create this intergenerational family of people who support each other to care for the environment. And that's really exciting when you see those relationships and friendships forming. And it goes global too. So to linking that back, there's opportunities for youth to engage with pen pals across each of the continents of the world. And And in doing so, we find that looking after the environment looks very different in Chile, or Uganda, or Austria. There are similarities, but it's pretty cool to see that different children across the world are very, very passionate about completely different areas of sustainability, and there's room for all of them inside the Students'
The
Movement.
children are really, really loving all these programs then.
They do love them. It equips them, it gives them a sense of hope. It provides them with a community of intergenerational members who are really keen to invest in them, keen to provide them with opportunities to serve, to take action. We know that as you engage with nature, and James can speak to this a bit later, but as you sort of provide children with intergenerational community and nature engagement at a young age, those experiences are really foundational in developing a sense of empathy and hope. And some of those key characteristics we know are really integral to sustaining you as a environmentally friendly and aware citizen. And that feeds back into sort of general life skills and the ability to thrive. So yeah, there is a large scope of programs. And yeah, certainly we try and cater for each age group, from toddlers all the way through to young adults. And yeah, part of our zero waste programs is sort of just part of that bigger suite.
Beautiful. And it's great. It's great to see that the children are really enjoying this, and they're taking it in their stride to be the next generation of eco warriors.
Yes, especially so much so, and especially with addressing climate and the huge array of different tasks we have ahead of us in conserving our beautiful world. To be able to back young leaders into opportunities, to be able to encourage them, to equip them with those soft skill sets that they need to thrive in their professional environment, but also the more sort of hands-on tactile skill sets they need to get out to nature and discern which species go where. Sort of providing them with a well-rounded sort of expertise set to take into careers. And realistically, James and I and our organisation are aware that not every child and youth member we invest in will go and become a park ranger or a zookeeper. But we embrace that. We want to create a community where they can take this sustainability awareness and grow their ability to look after an incredible environment and take that awareness into any industry or career space they might find themselves in. So in that sense, we're kind of equipping everyone to take that awareness of animals, people, environment, that kind of ape mentality around holistic conservation into their lives wherever they might end up.
That's great to hear. What are the future plans for the growth of these programs in the company?
Well, and that's a great segue actually from what Ben was talking about, because what he was alluding to there was the launch of our Embrace the Wild program, which we're piloting in New South Wales at the moment only, but we want to see run as a national program. And Embrace the Wild is a 100-page resource kit that then gives participants who've completed a project access to vocational training through TAFE, and from there onto an internship with a large conservation alliance. Now, what we want to see happen is that be a national program. And the way that's going to happen is through investment. So we're looking for funding to take that national. Now, this isn't meant to be some kind of silver bullet, but as we know, we're in the middle of a skills crisis and unemployment at its lowest level in 50 years. So what we want to be able to do is to target communities, disadvantaged communities, where we can upskill them into the jobs of the future. And conservation and sustainability are jobs of the future, without question. So we want to be a pipeline for those young people to lift them out of disadvantage, be they First Australians, New Australians, LGBTQ, whatever those disadvantaged community groups are. We want to be a pipeline for them and to put them on a conveyor belt towards a great opportunity for themselves and for the country. So for what Ben was talking about before around not just wanting to limit it to conservation, I'd like to see then the program extend broader than that and to go beyond conservation into any profession or vocation. And that when you're coming through our programs and you're going out into the world to work in any professional endeavour or vocational trade, whatever it happens to be, that you're taking an environmental practice and a sustainability mindset with you. because we all know that we're not going to address the climate and biodiversity crises we face unless there are all shoulders to the wheel in every sector, in every industry. And if we can make a contribution to that by, getting young people equipped and ready for that future now, then I think we're helping create structural change that's going to be very positive for the future.
It's great to hear.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think it's nice to be able to be in a position where we have so many great stories of impact emerging from our youth and young people. I mean, the messages and the letters that we receive from children across Australia are really beautiful. They're quite adorable to read. And many of them are addressed to Jane, some of them are addressed to our local coordinators, and everyone in between. And I think it's knowing that you're making a difference in children's lives across Australia by virtue of helping run the programs we do. It keeps you going. It provides that fire. It gives you that spirit of hope and optimism that kickstarts you into the new week. And particularly looking at the next few years with Embrace the Wild Beginning and trying to reach and equip as many secondary students as we can across Australia with experiences that will hopefully be quite life-changing for them in conservation, and also providing them with those skills they can place on a CV and equip them to find a career where they can thrive. We're excited for the future and really excited for the next few years. And it's great to be able to share a little bit of that picture with you.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. We will be watching very closely. So thank you so much for joining us today, gentlemen.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.